This is the dimension of imagination, an area in which we call the Twilight Zone. Hello everybody, thank you for joining me today. I do truly appreciate it. And I forgot to do what I'm supposed to do. I got this novelette in the mailbox from Shortwave Publishing. And it's a story, a novelette written by one of my favorite authors on God's green earth, and that's Philip Fracassi. The story is called D7. And I think at one point it was supposed to be called Honky Tonk. And as I was reading it at some point, I thought a good title for this story would have been called Trapped. But anyway, D7 works. It's really cool, and I love the way that it is tied in on this cover artwork by Shortwave Publishing with the jukebox, because the jukebox plays an important part of the story, and in the ending, an even bigger part of the story. The ending is cool, man. But, oops, stuff's falling out. Anyway, I got this as, I've ordered this book, a signed book with a bookplate, a signed bookplate. And because I wanted it. Anything Philip Fracassi releases, I want it. And signed is always better, so I want a signed copy all the time. Well, I ordered it, and I showed you a video. It came in the mail early, and it turns out this was a review copy, kindly from the publisher. I sure do appreciate it. It's a neat thing to have and a neat opportunity to be able to read this story quickly. And I think the story itself was something like 55 pages in there, so it was a pretty quick read. I had to put a story on hold, a Ray Garton story called Live Girls, put it on hold, and pick this up and read it real quick, and then now I'm back on to the Garton story. Never read Ray Garton. Anyway, I read this story, and it was cool, man. I'll tell you one thing. Philip Fracassi would make a fabulous writer for the Twilight Zone. You ever watched that show? Ever hear of it? The Twilight Zone, Rod Serling doing an intro and an outro to D7 would have been too sweet. It would have been terrific, indeed. And D7, from start to finish, to me, felt like a Twilight Zone story. So it's horror, but it's that kind of horror. That's what I love about stories of this length. They really do feel like they would make good episodes, or for those types of things, amazing stories, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and things along those lines. The Outer Limits, stuff like that, I really dig, man. I really dig them. And notice on here, up close, D and 7 have bloody prints, and there's bloody hand prints going down. But it was a fabulous story, like everything I read from Philip Fracassi. I haven't read a dud yet. But this was really, really cool. Like I said, a very short novelette. And you gotta start, novelette. It's longer than a short story, but it's not a book. So you gotta get right to it. You gotta get right to the point. And so you got a husband and a wife, Diane and Paul, and they're traveling cross country, moving. I get the impression they're moving to a new place from LA to Pennsylvania. And they're along the way. I think it said a Midwest. They were in the Midwest, staying at a little hotel, and the hotel didn't have a bar. They went to eat. The only thing available was a diner late at night. So they had greasy diner food. They didn't really dig the food, man. And they're heading back to the hotel and decide, hey, we would like to have stop at a bar for a drink or two. And so they're off the beaten path. Like the GPS doesn't even know where they are. The GPS shows you, and then there's a road over here somewhere, and you're not on any road. And that's where they're at. But up ahead, there's lights. So they drive on a little bit, the road clears, and voila, it's a honky tonk. They run into this bar, this honky tonk called Happy's Bar and Grill. And so, okay, it's cool. The parking lot's full. They go on in, and the bar's full. Bar's full of people, and the music loud, and they don't hear a thing. Nobody's talking or anything like that. They go in, the door closes, and Philip kind of does some foreshadowing. Tells a little bit about things aren't going to go as expected. But nobody can get out. They're trapped. The door won't open. The windows won't open. All these people here are trapped. And so they start to explain. I won't tell you why. But begrudgingly, they explain what happened why they think they can't get out. While they're locked in, there's the cover shows a jukebox, and this jukebox plays loudly, randomly, automatically, on its own, and it has a bit of control over the situation and everybody in it. And I don't want to spill the beans, but the cover is a very important part of the story. But while it's a novelette, it's a short story, it is fast paced, but it's also a slow reveal. As the story unfolds, I'm wanting the entire time to know what's next. And it keeps me wanting to know what comes next. So that slow unfolding of a fast-paced short story really worked for me, and it's exactly what the doctor ordered. But it is very Twilight Zone-esque, and the ending is perfect for a show like that. You get that one last little punch that sends you home saying, nice. And I can think of some episodes like the Venusian, where he pulls up his hat, the Martian's there, and the Venusian pulls up his hat and you see the eyeball and said, yeah, I'm here hunting Martians, or whatever the deal was there. You get that little punch at the end that was cool, and this book gives you that, so I really dig it, man. It's a 5-star story, easy, guaranteed. I want more. I want more like this. And I cannot recommend it enough. I'll put a link in the description for you to order it. But the first 500 copies come with a signed bookplate. And I took the bookplate and I permanently affixed it to the page, because I affix things. But there's the book specific bookplate for the book. So you get yourself a signed copy, and it's really cool. I recommend Philip Fracassi in every way, and I recommend D7. And this is the first one I bought from Shortwave Publishing, and I like it. I like the artwork. I like the way this thing looks. The story itself is very readable. The page colors, the size of the text, the way the pages feel, the chapter heading. Let me see, find a chapter heading. They look really cool. There you go. But there's a psychic medium stuff going on. Ghosts. It covers all sorts of stuff. But I can't, from almost the get-go, I thought Twilight Zone. That's what was going through my head, and I was picturing it in glorious black and white, because that's the way I like my Twilight Zone. But Philip Fracassi has done a great story here, and they did a great job. So I strongly recommend, go online. I think $10.99 plus shipping. You can buy this novelette. It's a perfect bound. It actually has title, publisher, author on the spine. Get it coming your way. Hopefully you get one of the first 500. You get a signed book plate with it. I like signed. But I strongly recommend it. When you get a chance, go out and read some more of Philip Fracassi stuff. His writing, it covers all things from horror to science fiction to stuff like this. All sorts of stuff. Such a variety in his work so far. And I feel like he's just getting started. I got a whole collection here. This whole shelf. I've got a couple out because I'm getting ready for something else, to take some books somewhere. But this whole shelf just chock full of Philip Fracassi stuff. With that being said, I can think of no more lines to tell. So thank you for your time. I do truly appreciate it. C'est la vie, baby. Dude. Which one do I use? Which one do I use? Which one do I use? I don't know. I can't choose.